Mark asked me to give you a bit of insight into the Wates family approach to stewardship, and in fact, our approach to mandate is in fact within this as well. So it's quite interesting. I'm very happy to do so. I always try to make the point that we don't see that we are the best. We're not so different from others in terms. Sometimes family businesses, sometimes I think, feel that they are the sort of exemplar. I don't really agree with that. I've seen some absolutely fantastic best practice elsewhere in other companies. So it's not confined to family businesses. Though I think what you should hopefully see is the family commitment to stewardship as an ongoing theme. Also, I always find it very useful. I'm looking forward to the questions because we get a great deal, actually, from being questioned and challenged about what we're doing, and often that's the best bit, certainly from my point of view, is the best bit. So what am I going to cover? I'm going to cover, I'm going to give you, I'm afraid, a little bit of background and colour, because I suppose in the end, the governance is about people and things and businesses, and so I'm going to tell you a bit about our business, not too long, don't worry, and a bit about our family. I'm then going to talk a bit about the Wates family values and the business values, and then I'll run on to the actual question itself, which is how do we deal with the 4 stewardship principles as set out in Mark's excellent work on that. So, background on the family. This is our founder, Edward, 1897, my great-grandfather. And then we move on. We've got a great picture here of, actually there's a picture of him sitting behind, and then you've got 3 generations if you include him and his portrait at the back. And again, I suppose the point I'm trying to give some feel that we've been around a while, and we've been stewards of the company for over 110 years. We then come on to the stewards for our generation, and we've now, in terms of family succession, we have moved to the 4th generation. We have successfully passed the business to the 4th generation, and the transition is complete. So my father has retired, though he's still very engaged, but he has actually retired, and we're quite strict. At 70 in our family, you retire. A final one, I mean, here are the 5th generation, or a few of them. There are a few more, but not that many more. There's a few rather smaller ones who are difficult to get it into pictures. But I suppose that perhaps that says a great deal about us in our business. What are we about? We're about passing on something better to our children. And I suppose I look on that as a bit of a human desire to pass on something better. I don't think it's confined to companies. I think all sorts of people in this world and in this country want to make things better and pass them a better place to their children. So I think we're in no way alone, but we do have this company, Wates, that we want to pass to our children in great shape. Very quickly on the history. The main thing about history is, in fact, to show how different we are compared to what we have been. And I think the point you make is that stewardship of a business is nowhere near the stewardship of a stately home or something like that. You know, we are evolving, we're very dynamic. We're not trying to keep the past like it was. We're really very dynamic, forward-looking in terms of our approach to stewardship. So we started off as a furniture company. We, in fact, pretty well invented volume house building. We're also very ahead of the game in system building, and that is, you can see the large block there, that's a system-built block. I'm sure you've seen many of those beautiful buildings in London driving along motorways. So I can only really apologise. In some sense, well, here's some things we're not doing anymore. So on the left, top left, is a sort of an example of some volume house building we did. We're no longer volume house builders. We're niche. We have a particular model in house building that I might come on to very quickly. We used to run a substantial leisure business, really with about 20 or so large-scale leisure clubs all over the UK. And we used to have a City of London property company. None of those anymore. Those have all, we've moved on one another, sold them, moved out of them. So it shows our business is pretty dynamic. So what do we do now? Very quickly, we have a substantial construction company that does major national contractor, education, prisons, commercial buildings, large-scale refurbishment, and quite substantial exposure in Abu Dhabi. Living space. This is, in fact, one of we've got a fantastic business that has a substantial, about 300, 400 million of turnover, doing decent homes, building new homes, and doing retrofit for energy, which is a great market. But I thought you might be amused, actually, to that building there. In fact, it's a system-built building that we built in the 60s, and we just had a contract we just finished last year to basically refurbish it. And that gent on the left there is my father, who was the project manager on that building. And so I suppose, again, without wanting to go on about it, it does show the sort of deep, deep roots. This business has got roots, and it repeats itself. It's been around a long, long time. Wates Retail, very quickly, that's a specialist business that we found very successful, works for the very best retailers. Interiors, fit out, again, I mean, we would love to have done the fit out on this building. It's basically a bare building. We go in there and make it fantastic as a place to work in. And then this is our developments business, which has evolved from being effectively being a house builder to being more a land. What we do is we take land, develop land through planning, and then we, in fact, strangely, despite the fact that we build over 2,000 houses a year for other people, we do joint ventures with house builders, and they build the houses for us because they are just absolutely fantastic at building and selling houses in the open market, and we think joint ventures with them is the best way to do that. Press that again. Oh, I've done. Pressed it. You didn't mean to. Stop. Okay. Again, part of being in business nowadays is being a good citizen. I suppose, wanted to get that picture up. It's very much valued by our customers. I think it's pretty well in our DNA. We do feel it very naturally. But I would say that our Chairman and Chief Executive, Paul Drexler, who joined us about 6-7 years ago, really saw the family had that in terms of we had it in our DNA. We weren't necessarily doing it, but we really were. We sort of would do it if someone could point us in the right direction. He's been fantastic in terms of helping us point ourselves in the right direction in terms of our corporate citizenship. I think previously what the family took the view that our business, we intend to be very good employers and very good employers for our people, but we didn't necessarily quite get the fact that our business itself was a force for good in itself, rather than perhaps the profits from the business being put towards philanthropy. And I think that's been incredibly powerful for us as a family. So you may imagine that we in the family feel a very, very big responsibility in terms of the fourth generation taking on this business, and we are accountable for the stewardship of it, and we really do feel like stewards of it. So, moving on now, perhaps to the bits with the more words, less pictures. What are our values in the family? And I thought it was just interesting to put the family values and the Wates Group values and pick a couple out. I mean, first of all, integrity is top of the list for both of them. And in fact, in family values, we didn't have integrity to start with, but we felt we had to get it back in because it wasn't that we didn't have integrity, we thought it went without saying, but the fact is it is worth saying it, so it's in there. And certainly in the family, we're saying that enterprise, leadership are big parts of the family values, but unity and sustainability, big thing in terms of your family. But then in terms of our group, which is very much, you can see the values are consistent with each other, and I think very consistent with stewardship. But we can see the business values, integrity, again, but a lot about performance and a lot about being in our communities and respect for the communities that we're in. Because I suppose when a building site lands in the community, for 2 or 3 years, we become a huge part of that community, and we're incredibly conscious of that. Actually, when we're there, we are a big part of the community, and we want to be a good part of the community while we're in it. I suppose one of the things that I've always attracted me to Tomorrow's Company has been this philosophy about that business can and should be a force for good. And we feel that very, very strongly in the family. We really do feel it, and we feel that a well-run, a good family business is a great example of a good business. So in that sense, that perhaps is why do we still do it? Why do we not sell it and turn it into money? Well, actually, because we think it's really great. It's absolutely great. We think business is a great thing to be in, and we think a family business is a great model. So now, answering the question. Stewardship principles. First of all, I would like to say to Mark that I've really enjoyed working with you on these stewardship principles. I think you've done a fantastic job getting some clarity on them. It's been incredibly helpful for us. We sort of had this idea about stewardship. We hadn't really necessarily turned it into what stewardship is, and so we found this work with Tomorrow's Company has been very, very helpful. So the first principle is setting the course in governance. I'll say that from our point of view, just to describe how we work it, we do have actually we have a two-tier system of governance. We have a family holdings, which is where the family sit by right, and we then have a very professional group board. And then below that, executive committees and everything that goes with running a business really well. We see that in terms of the implementation of the stewardship of the business, that lies with the board. It's our job as we see ourselves as we have a stewardship philosophy, but unless we're actually sitting on the board, we see that it is our job to make sure that the board has. So I've just been waved at me, thoroughly put off. Thank you very much at the back. We see that it's very much with the board the implementation of the stewardship, and our job is to delegate clearly and allow the executives to prosper and win. Behind that, we have a charter, which is a non-legal document that sets parameters for the group, and we then also have preferences that set that we've got that. So the charter is a non-legal document that sets out the broad framework for the group that we want them to work with, and we also, as a family, set out our preferences for how we want the group to broadly conduct its business in terms of very broad strategy. And linked into that is capital approval and quarterly reviews. The next aspect of stewardship is driving performance. We see that again as very, very, very important. It might be a family business, but we do value performance, and profits are incredibly important. So we're very professional management, driving the business hard day to day, and really watching the business hard to make sure that everything is going well. We have a strong board with very strong NEDs, in terms of very challenging to the family. So we've got a FTSE 100 chairman in there, we've got a CEO of a FTSE 250, and a FTSE 250 chairman, and they certainly are big people, and they don't take nonsense from the family. Part of our communities. We're very much involved in our communities, and this is, again, one of the stewardship principles that we hold to. So we're very involved in industry groups. My cousin James in particular is a big leader in the building industry. We're involved in business groups like CBI, London First. We're keen on this corporate citizenship. We work a lot with sort of offenders, business in the community. We have a big drive at the moment where we're trying to make each of our projects to have one social enterprise working for our projects. Again, we're seeing that's a great thing to do. It's a fantastic way of supporting social enterprise. We have, in fact, quite a substantial philanthropic arm. We're able to do that as a family business, and roughly 5% of our profits go into philanthropy, and that is given away via a corporate foundation. Again, something that we're really pleased to do. And finally, obviously networks are a big part of business. And from our point of view, we're very widely networked across the board, and particularly networked in family businesses and in our business sectors. Planning or planting for the future. Well, again, I think I heard actually people talking about values and reputation. Values and reputation are very absolutely critical for any business. We're effectively a service business. It's key for us. We're always watching it. From our point of view as a family, we take a 15 to 20-year generational view, but we do, from our board point of view, take a 3 to 5 year strategy process, just like any other business. And again, we're continually looking to enhance the quality of our businesses. So, we do mean this a long, long time working these words out. We say we're engaged custodians of a family enterprise which blends wealth creation with social responsibility. I'm very proud of our business. I think, in some sense, the stewardship perhaps comes quite naturally to us, but I don't think it's confined to us. And I can see the world moving towards much more stewardship orientation. Thank you.